This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to all of you enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Guess what? Volkswagen is going to use Gigacastings too, just like Tesla. VW CEO Herbert Diess is trying to light a fire under his people to catch up to Tesla in manufacturing productivity. Tesla reportedly uses 10 labor hours to make its cars, while VW needs about 30 labor hours. One of the ways to reduce labor hours is to use fewer parts to make a car. And gigacastings that form the front and rear structure of a car can eliminate up to 140 body panels. It's all part of Volkswagen's Trinity project, which is an all-out effort to catch up to Tesla on a number of fronts, including software. VW is going to build a $2 billion plant in Wolfsburg, Germany, that's dedicated to making EVs that come out of the Trinity project. And speaking of Volkswagen, it's likely going to give the green light for Porsche and Audi to get into Formula One racing. Reuters reports that Audi will invest over $500 million in McLaren's Formula One team, while Porsche is going to team up with Red Bull Racing. One stipulation, though, Formula One has to commit to using synthetic fuels that are carbon neutral, or VW will not allow its subsidiaries to compete. And while F1 has talked about doing that anyway, this will make sure that only synfuels will be used by 2026. You know, seatbelt chimes can be pretty annoying, even for those of us who always buckle up. And those chimes are about to get a lot worse. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety wants those warnings to last longer and chime louder. Right now, the chimes have to last between 4 and 8 seconds, and there has to be a visual reminder that lasts at least 60 seconds when the driver doesn't buckle up. But the IIHS says the warnings need to be more noticeable and more persistent. The Institute just evaluated 26 SUVs, and only 2 of them, the Subaru Forester and the Subaru Ascent, earned a good rating. But I can tell you, from personal experience, those 2 are the most annoying chimes of all.
Mobility is becoming electric, connected, and autonomous, just like the manufacturing world. But will always be one thing: a reliable partner for our customers.
The United States is getting more serious about securing domestic sources for the raw materials needed to make EV batteries. President Biden is planning to invoke the Defense Production Act to boost mining of those raw materials. Right now, the U.S. relies heavily on foreign sources. And in a related move, the administration is looking at tapping into the nation's strategic oil reserve to boost supply and make up for the shortfall from cutting off Russia. The administration is considering releasing 1 million barrels a day, or up to 180 million barrels over the next several months, and that would be the largest in U.S. history. Speaking of raw material supplies, Bloomberg reports that Tesla signed an undisclosed multi-year deal with the Brazilian mining company Vale to supply it with nickel from Canada. The price of nickel has soared recently, and all automakers are scrambling to lock up supplies. Earlier this week, Japan's Sumitomo Metal said it expects global nickel demand to jump nearly a quarter this year just for EV batteries. China is really pushing the idea of swappable batteries for electric cars, and now Japanese motorcycle makers are embracing the idea. Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha, and Kawasaki, along with Japanese oil company Enios, are forming a new company called Gachako for battery swapping for electric motorcycles. Here's the really important part. Those motorcycle companies have agreed to standardize their battery packs so they can be used in any motorcycle. It all starts this fall in Tokyo, and then in the future, Gachako will also use standardized swappable batteries for other applications, like storage batteries for commercial and home use. And Ineos will reuse those batteries for second life applications and eventually it will recycle them.
We want to know what drives your testing. OTA, connected car, diagnostics, remote testing. Intrepid Control Systems is here to help you work from anywhere. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Earlier this month, Elon Musk sent out a tweet supposedly inviting the UAW to try and organize Tesla's workers at its plant in Fremont, California. Well, during an Automotive Press Association interview, UAW President Ray Curry was asked about that tweet. Here's what he had to say.
We hear about those, the comments and the discussion that he has, an invitation that he placed out there. I've actually not talked to Mr. Musk or any representative of Tesla. I think a good faith effort that Tesla could start moving forward with, they could really demonstrate a commitment to the workers of the facility by dropping their current NLRB charges. They currently have an NLRB appeal and reinstating some workers who are actually terminated right now. I think that would be a good faith effort if they were interested in having that type of exchange.
Sure sounds like the UAW really isn't going to try and organize those Tesla workers. After all, Elon didn't invite the union to try an organizing effort. He dared them to try. And that's because he's pretty confident his workers will reject the union. And that's why we think the UAW is not even going to try. Well, look at this. Lincoln now officially sells more cars in China than in the United States and Canada. 91,000 versus 83,000 to be precise. While mass market foreign brands like Chevrolet and Ford are seeing their sales slide in China, foreign luxury brands are still doing very well. Lincoln has really concentrated on providing superior customer sales and service in China as a way to differentiate itself, and that effort is really paying off. It just placed #1 on J.D. Power's Customer Satisfaction Index in China, ahead of Audi and Porsche. Fully autonomous robo-taxis keep inching closer towards reality. GM Cruise is providing rides without a safety driver in its cars in San Francisco, and now it's Waymo's turn. Right now, Waymo is only providing robo-taxi rides for employees. The next step is to offer rides to people who would agree to join a wait list and sign a non-disclosure agreement. But that's in San Francisco. Waymo has 500 robo-taxis in the Phoenix area, providing rides without safety drivers. It's even expanding the service to include downtown Phoenix. And back in California, Waymo racked up more than 2 million miles of autonomous driving on public roads last year, and that's the most of any AV company. A programming note here. There's not going to be an Autoline After Hours this afternoon, but 2 weeks from today, we're going to have Mark Royce, the president of General Motors, on the show. And it's all going to be about GM's EV strategy. And we're also going to devote the last segment of the show to your questions. So if you've got questions you would like to pose to the president of General Motors about their electric car strategy, send them our way. But we're only going to ask a handful of viewer questions, and we're only going to ask the best ones. So you got 2 weeks to figure out some really good questions. And that wraps up today's report. Thank you for watching.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And by Scheffler, we pioneer motion.